The physiotherapy private practice landscape has changed dramatically. Most of us did not choose how it changed, but we can choose how to respond. Today, I want to show you a model that gives physiotherapists back their autonomy, control over how you practice, control over your schedule, and control over the environment that your work thrives in. And here's the part that most people miss. The model is not extreme, it's not risky, and it's a lot more accessible than we had been led to believe. Before we talk about solo practice, we need to talk about what's actually happening in our profession. Patients are more informed than ever. They ask better questions. They expect individualized care. At the same time, private practice physiotherapy is becoming increasingly more corporatized. More clinics are being acquired by large companies and private equity groups. This shift matters more than we realize. We're trained as autonomous professionals, but when we enter the workforce, many of us end up practicing inside systems that we did not design. Over time, that disconnect shapes how care is delivered, and eventually how the public perceives our profession. I spent 7 years trying to make the traditional clinic model work. The overhead was high, staffing was unpredictable, and scaling meant stepping further away from the work I actually cared about, client care. Underneath it all, there was constant pressure, financial stress, and decision fatigue. Burnout felt personal even though it wasn't. Clinic ownership became about chasing revenue targets, motivating physios, tracking KPIs, and managing people. If you hate confrontation or don't enjoy managing adults, this is exhausting. At some point, I realized I wasn't building a business that supported my values and my lifestyle. I felt like a hamster on a hamster wheel, running harder and harder, working more, but not actually moving forward. Before I pivoted, I was approached multiple times by investors who wanted to acquire the clinic as an asset. People with no background in physiotherapy, no experience in rehab, just financial models. I had seen colleagues sell to large chains with hundreds of clinics all over Canada and North America. I couldn't do it because ownership changes incentives and incentives change care. So, in this situation, what does the day to day look like? Shorter sessions, higher volume, delegated care, and less clinician control. I remember my 27th birthday. It was on December 27th. It was my champagne birthday. I treated 27 patients, I kid you not, in one shift. I've worked in clinics where owners weren't clinicians. Schedules were packed, assistants ran machines, and continuity of care was poor. This isn't about bad therapists. It's about a system that optimizes for throughput instead of outcomes. This model has hidden costs: loss of autonomy, ethical friction, burnout that feels like a personal failure, and salaries that don't keep up with rising inflation. Even as an owner, I felt it. I tried hiring an assistant so I could squeeze in, one more session per hour, and suddenly I wasn't delivering the level of care that I promised. That was the moment everything became clear. If the model forces you to compromise your standard of care, then the problem isn't you, it's the model. So I made a different choice. I downsized completely, one room. That room is my treatment space, it's my office, and my content studio. I operate inside of a private gym. I rely heavily on automation, clinic software, Google Workspace, AI tools, a lean digital flow. It's simple because it's designed that way. Solo practice isn't about being small. It's about being intentional. You maintain one-on-one care, you control your schedule. There's a direct link between your time, your value, and your income. And the only hard conversations you have are with your clients and yourself. Solo Physio is not an escape, it's a response. Solo isn't small, solo is focused. You control access, you control pace, you control outcomes. You're not managing staff, you're not mediating conflict, you are not selling productivity. Your energy goes back into the work itself. And that's where longevity comes from. Let's be clear. This isn't easier, it's just scaled down. You give up scaling through hiring, if managing people is something you enjoy. You take on more responsibility. You think like an operator. You run a corporation. What surprised me most was realizing I could handle it. I was always the clinician, and my wife handled a lot of the day-to-day operations. Now I manage billing, scheduling, inventory, everything. And honestly, it's not as hard as it sounds. Solo practice isn't for everyone, but it's ideal for people who value autonomy, prefer depth over scale, want longevity in their clinical career, or they may have a niche population that they care deeply about. And most importantly, they want control over their finances and their environment. I see it work best for people that are entrepreneurial thinkers, creatives, professionals who like things done their way, people who value work-life balance, often type A personalities. But different systems serve different people. There's a persistent myth that solo practice has an income ceiling. The reality is simple. It's not an income problem, it's an operating problem. Having a solo practice allows you to grow your personal brand, which then allows you to make true passive income and really make a difference for something you really stand for. Thanks for watching, guys. Once again, this is Adam Chang from the Solo Physio Ops, owner of Lifted Lifestyle Physio and Coaching. Till next time.